European cathedrals have always impressed with their scale and beauty, but modern research shows that they are not just religious structures. They are complex engineering systems. Tall spires, domes, and precise geometry interact with sound, light, air, and even electricity. This raises an intriguing question. Who could have created such masterpieces at a time when people traveled on horseback and lacked modern technology? And could religion have concealed the true purpose of these structures? Cologne Cathedral began construction in 1248, but the main work was only completed in 1880, over 600 years later. Its spires reach a height of about 157 meters, making it one of the tallest Gothic structures in the world. This height and elongated geometry create conditions for standing sound waves to form. Acoustic studies show that the reverberation time, the duration of echo, can exceed 8 to 10 seconds, which is extremely high. But the electrical phenomena are just as fascinating. During thunderstorms, the spires effectively act as giant receivers, concentrating atmospheric electrical potential. Metal elements of the roof and crosses may amplify this effect. Engineers also note that the vertical lines and repeating structural elements resemble the principles of antenna arrays. Additionally, the cathedral maintains a stable internal temperature, suggesting that the massive stone structure stores heat and releases it slowly, creating a kind of energy buffer. Milan Cathedral, whose construction began in 1386 and continued into the 19th century, features more than 130 spires and thousands of decorative elements, forming a highly complex geometric surface. Acoustically, this causes sound to reflect multiple times, creating a sense of volumetric resonance, especially in the central nave. Studies show that waves can concentrate at specific points, forming localized zones of amplification. Equally important is the interaction with light. Stained glass windows are not merely decorative, but function as a system through which sunlight passes at precisely calculated angles. On certain days of the year, light beams illuminate specific areas of the floor, resembling solar markers or even primitive energy concentrators. The large mass of marble also accumulates heat, warming slowly during the day and releasing it at night. Some researchers suggest that the numerous spires may act as microstructures interacting with atmospheric electrical processes. Notre-Dame de Paris, built roughly between 1163 and 1345, became the subject of modern scientific study after the 2019 fire. Acoustic models show that its interior functions as a complex wave reflection system where sound can concentrate in certain zones and persist for long periods. Equally interesting are aerodynamic findings. The shape of the roof and flying buttresses directs airflow, creating a natural ventilation effect that works without modern technology. Metal elements used in the roof structure may also influence the distribution of electromagnetic fields. Some engineers note that the cathedral's proportions correspond to mathematical ratios often used in wave-based systems. St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican is one of the largest domed churches in the world. Its dome, about 42 meters in diameter, creates unique conditions for wave propagation. The whispering gallery effect allows sound to travel along the walls over long distances with minimal loss, indicating highly precise geometric design. But the dome interacts not only with sound. Studies suggest that incoming light can be focused at certain points, creating a concentration effect. From an engineering perspective, this shape resembles resonators or even antenna-like structures that interact with different types of waves. Some researchers also believe the dome may influence heat distribution inside, contributing to a stable microclimate. Considering these physical characteristics, one might recall the words of Nikola Tesla. He believed that energy fills the space around us and can be harnessed if properly collected and directed. He also proposed that energy could be transmitted over distances through resonance. With this in mind, it is not difficult to imagine that cathedrals, with their spires, domes, and precise geometry, might have functioned as collectors or resonators of energy, while religion could have served as a cover for these processes. This raises further questions about how such achievements were possible in an era without modern technology. For example, Cologne Cathedral stands over 150 meters tall and consists of thousands of stone blocks, each of which had to be lifted to great heights and precisely positioned. The official explanation involves simple lifting mechanisms, wooden cranes, and manual labor. But even so, the precision of stone fitting, symmetry, and geometric consistency appears extraordinarily complex for that level of technology, especially considering that any mistake at such heights could have led to structural collapse. Surprisingly little is known about the builders of Europe's great cathedrals. Chronicles mention individual masters, architects, and so-called master builders, but detailed information about their methods, calculations, or complete designs is scarce. While some names are known, there is no full understanding of how knowledge was passed down across generations, especially when construction spanned centuries. As for blueprints, historical accounts suggest they did exist, but they were nothing like modern engineering plans. They were more like sketches, geometric schemes, or physical models, often made on parchment or as wooden mock-ups. Some have survived, but they do not fully explain all structural decisions. In complex elements, such as domes or buttress systems, modern engineers sometimes have to recalculate loads from scratch because historical documentation simply lacks sufficient detail. It is known that medieval builders actively used proportions, circles, triangles, and so-called sacred geometry. They were able to construct complex forms without modern formulas, relying on ropes, compasses, and simple tools. But this raises another question. How deep was their understanding, if the results were such intricate and stable structures? Another important aspect is the role of guilds and closed communities of builders. Stonemasons and craftsmen formed brotherhoods where knowledge was passed on orally or through practice rather than written records. This means that a significant portion of their techniques may have been lost or never documented at all. Some researchers believe that key construction principles were preserved within these closed circles, explaining the sophistication of cathedral architecture. And here, the doubt arises again. If the drawings were so primitive and knowledge was transmitted mainly through oral tradition, how were such precise, large-scale, and durable structures created? Why do modern engineers, with far more advanced tools, sometimes have to rediscover principles that were already implemented centuries ago? Another point is the speed and duration of construction. Some cathedrals were built over hundreds of years, but this does not always explain their complexity. In fact, it raises new questions. One theory suggests that prolonged construction was not only due to limited resources or changing eras. Another perspective proposes that the extended timelines may have served as a convenient cover, allowing for processes or research not understood by the general population. To ordinary people, it appeared as the construction of a temple, while the actual processes may have been far more complex. In the end, an intriguing picture emerges. On one hand, we have the official explanation: gradual development of architecture, manual labor, and faith. On the other hand, we see facts that seem too complex and precise for their time. And this leads to a simple yet uncomfortable question. Do we truly understand how and why these cathedrals were built? Or has some of that knowledge been lost? Or perhaps deliberately hidden? What are your thoughts on this? Share them in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.